Hi, I'm Sheila Andreen. I'm the CEO, I'm actually a filmmaker, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of IndieFlix. I'm going to be introducing Jack, but I also wanted to let all of you know, you're all here because we're part of sort of an evolution, and you're also, some of you are sitting on a revolution, actually. We actually hid some codes and surprises and gifts for you under your seats. So you're welcome to look under your seats. And the first and the last people to act on any of these gifts, we're going to actually give a Roku 3 to. So I had to give a quick plug for IndieFlix. We're the Netflix of independent film. It's the first person to redeem it, and we can tell by the code. So if the first person to redeem it will get a Roku 3, as will the last person to redeem it by midnight tonight. So now I'd like to get on to the really meaty, important stuff. So I get the great honor. I actually had to fight for this introduction because there were so many other people who wanted to do this introduction, but I got it. And this is going to be introducing Jack Conte. He's a prolific digital renaissance man. He's a musician, a songwriter, a filmmaker, and an entrepreneur who's created a platform called Patreon. And is it Patreon? Patreon. I just said Patreon, which is basically taking patronage online and helping to continue to give to artists on an ongoing basis. It's like an ongoing Kickstarter. I think it's brilliant, it's global, and he's going to tell us his story, how he started with doing music, and it's led him to found this incredible platform that delivers globally. So I'm going to hand it over to Jack now, and there'll be time for a Q&A afterwards, and he's really transparent, so he said, ask away. Okay, thank you.
No worries. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. So this talk is called Digital Content is Free, People Are Not. And I'm going to tell the origin story of Patreon today, which is a company that I started about 10 months ago now with my friend. But it goes back quite a long way to a band that I was in called Pomplamoose. Pomplamoose started uploading videos to YouTube in 2008. That was pre-Google acquisition, 2007. And things were a lot different back then, especially online, especially on YouTube. For instance, I was still uploading all my music to MySpace. And advertisers weren't aware or didn't care about online media as much. So I want to tell you a little bit about Pomplamoose and how that started, and then I'm going to say how that segued into a music video that I made, which is ultimately what was inspiration for Patreon. So as soon as the slides are ready here in a second, we'll get started. By the way, has anybody heard of Pomplamoose? How many people have heard of Pomplamoose? Okay, cool, great. Well, I'm going to play you a little clip of us anyway, for the people who aren't familiar with Pomplamoose. We started a format called the video song. The video song is like a music video, but it happens in your bedroom or wherever, and it has two rules. What you see is what you hear. So it's the actual takes. We set up cameras while we're recording a song. And what you see, if I'm going like this, that's the sound that you're actually hearing. It's not overdubbed. And the second rule is there's no lip syncing for instruments or voice. So if you see Natalie, who's my girlfriend and bandmate, if she's singing a take, that's the actual take that we used. And that constraint, I think, was very helpful. It allowed us to sort of treat digital media like tape because we were forced to take time and not do as many punches, and it had to be rough around the edges because we were filming and everything, and it had to be synced. It was a very difficult process. So that was the video song. I'll show you what that looks like in a second. This is the room where we started recording. This is the bedroom of my childhood home. This is a bunch of stuff we got on Craigslist. That piano over there in the corner was $50 on Craigslist. It's from the 1890s. And there's a little transcription on one of the keys from a person who tuned it in 1933. And they just wrote their name and the date on it. And it was $50 on Craigslist. All this gear is all very inexpensive gear. super low barrier to entry. Anybody can hop into the music scene these days. For those of you who don't know Pamplemousse, this is us doing a cover of Beyonce's Single Ladies in this bedroom in 2008, I think. Oh, can we get audio here? Great.
All the single ladies, 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 all the single ladies. Put your hands up, up in the club. I just broke up, doing my own little thing. Decided to dip, and now you wanna trip, 'cause another guy noticed me.
Okay, so that's a little clip of what the video song is basically like. You can see everything that's happening, and what you hear is what you see. So here's what happened. We uploaded this video, and then the next day, do you guys, who remembers 2008? This was 5 years ago now. I don't know if you remember this. Do you remember when Kanye made an ass of himself at the Grammys? No, it was the VMAs. And he interrupts Taylor Swift during the middle of her acceptance speech for Best Music Video. And he takes the microphone out of her hand, and he says, Taylor, whatever. Beyonce had one of the best music videos of all time. She had one of the best music videos of all time. And everybody starts booing, and it's horribly embarrassing, and Kanye's clearly drunk, and it's really awful. But the point is, the next day, everybody and their uncle went onto YouTube and searched Beyonce Single Ladies, and they saw this. And that's when I realized that YouTube is a search engine, and that SEO works on YouTube, search engine optimization. I can steal. It's not stealing. I can use. It's free. Tags are free. I can use the tag Beyonce, Single Ladies. These are tags. It's a brand that's had millions and millions of marketing dollars poured into it, and I can use that for free. I just put those words under my video, and YouTube's algorithm recommends hundreds of thousands of hits and traffic to my video. This was a huge revelation for us, and we started uploading more and more videos of pop songs, basically using tags, using keywords that had millions of marketing dollars behind them. And then two kids in their bedroom, wow, I'm getting static shock from the carpet here. From here, you then have money. It's like you effectively have money. You have exposure. You have marketing dollars that people never had before. Never in the history of humans. So what happened was people started watching our videos, and then we played some shows, and we started having fans, and things were going really well. Brands started calling us. We did a commercial for a company called A1. They flew us to Austria for 24 hours, and we did a commercial using one of our songs, Mr. Sandman. We covered Mr. Sandman, and this was a stop-motion animation that we filmed in Austria. Hyundai turned our garage into a sound stage, and we shot 3 Hyundai car commercials in our garage. I live on a farm, and we're shooting car commercials in our garage. Part of the contract, by the way, was that Hyundai was not allowed to be in the room while we were shooting. So Natalie and I there was cameras, and they had like RV trailers outside. They turned, literally, our house was like a Hollywood studio, and it's me and Natalie in a little garage with no one else in the room shooting a commercial. Then we started playing bigger shows. This is a Warfield show, New Year's Eve with the Dresden Dolls. Things were going really well. People were uploading fan art. So clearly spending lots of time. I mean, this is pieces of felt cut out. You search DeviantArt for Pamplemousse, there's lots of people are spending time making portraits, and some of them aren't as flattering, but it's okay because people are still spending a lot of time on them. We really feel like we have a community. One day, we uploaded our cover album to iTunes. We called it Tribute to Famous People. It's 10 songs, big songs like this: September, Single Ladies, Mr. Sandman. And now, just be with me here for a second. I'm living in my dad's house. I don't have any money. I've graduated college. I'm a poor musician. And that month we check our iTunes sales at the end of the month, and there's $22,000 in my bank account. And it became real at that point. We thought of this as, wow, maybe we can actually make a living being musicians. And we're not famous, right? Pamplemousse isn't famous. We're not Lady Gaga. We're just making a living, which is weird. We have this dichotomy in our minds of starving artist or rich and famous celebrity. And I want to get into that in a second. But with all the exposure and brand deals, and song sales, we had money. I bought a house off of MP3 sales. This is my backyard. It's about an acre on like a farm area. We have a shared fence with a 52-acre cow pasture. It's in the middle of nowhere. But there was an extra building on the property, and we gutted it, turned it into a recording studio, put in soundproofing in the walls. And we got calls from labels. We said no, mostly, to labels and people who wanted to step in. We were a little bit scared. We didn't say no to management and to the whole the LA kind of music thing. But what ended up happening was we went, we saw this guy, and he said, he was in LA, he was some publisher. He said, "You want to know the secret to the music business?" And Natalie and I were like, "Yeah." And he said, "Hit songs." And it made sense to us. I don't know why. He was convincing and authoritative, and he lived in LA, and he had hit songs. It sounded like, yeah, that is the secret. So we started trying to write hit songs. I'm going to skip this next part of the story because it's an ugly part. We couldn't write a hit song. And we didn't end up signing any of these deals. It was up to us. It was ourselves. We just started we just said, okay, we're not going to upload anything until we have a hit song because we really want it to be great. And that turned into a month, which turned into 2 months, 6 months. We were at that point afraid to even sit down at the piano. And at the end of 3 years later, not uploading a single piece of content, everything had changed. And what we had done best, which was uploading songs, uploading videos, making people happy, connecting with our audience, we were too afraid to do for fear of taking it to the next level, or rather, in want of taking it to the next level. So we decided to put the band on hiatus. We couldn't sort of wrap our heads around it. And Natalie went off and raised $100,000 on Kickstarter to make a solo album. I started learning electronic music. Okay, this is phase 2 here. I promise this is all leading up toward Patreon. So phase 2 is me getting obsessed with electronic music. Yeah, wub, 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 all that kind of stuff. So I was fascinated with it. I wanted to learn how to make it. I had no idea how to make those sounds. I spent years, literally 2 years, in my dungeon of a studio with no windows, just reading manuals and learning Massive, which is a synthesizer. And at the end of all this, I really wanted to make something and put something out on YouTube because it had been years since I had put anything out on YouTube, and I was starving to just make something again for the joy of making something, right? Like what it felt like when I was back in my bedroom, where we had no idea we were getting millions of hits. We just wanted to make cool stuff, and I really wanted to do that. So I started. I built this table, out of which, in the center, was going to be a rotating elevator. And coming out of this table, there was going to be a robot in the elevator as it's rotating and coming up. And the robot's going to walk out, and there's going to be another one on this side. It's rotating, coming up, and a robot walks out. And I'm in the middle, jamming out on my guitar, rocking out to dubstep music. And there's robots here rocking out with me, and we're having fun. That's the music video. So I decided I really wanted to do this, and I spent a long time. I bought a bearing on Amazon. That centerpiece rotates in there, and I it started to get more and more complicated. The plans started to get very difficult. All these little, corner pieces and lumber. And I started spending hundreds of dollars going to Home Depot every morning. Then I got this rope and these pulleys, and I thought maybe that's a winch right there that I also got on Amazon. And I was sitting in the back turning this thing, and the elevator was kind of cricking up and wasn't working. I started spending more and more time at this point. I was spending 12, 14-hour days in the studio trying to get this to work. And then I think, okay, I really want everything in the background to be lit and to look like a spaceship. I want to build a Millennium Falcon replica behind me while the robots are rocking out and everything. So I need to frame a wall behind me. So I go to Home Depot and they tell me I gotta learn how to use a miter saw, which I don't know what it is, but I buy one and I cut this thing at an angle and I bolt it to the ceiling and I start framing a wall. Now I'm spending like 15-hour days, 16-hour days in the studio. I start building these little panels. These are like little washers. I bought 1,000 washers on eBay, and I'm gluing vellum behind them, like colored vellum, so you can shine a light behind it, and it sparkles blue and red. And I start building more and more of these panels. Now, at this point, now Natalie's off on tour. There's no one like at my house to regulate my life, and so I'm spending now 18-hour days in the studio, and I start putting the panels up. I only have like a month left, so I've been doing this 2 months now. So I've really got to start cranking because the robots are getting here in a month. I've been emailing them in England. They've been sending me videos. I'm flying them over. I'm spending a bunch of money. I was reading books about entrepreneurs and how they max out their credit cards and they spend all their money in the bank account, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to do that, which was dumb, but I was thinking, I want to go for it, So now the set starts coming together. I'm putting up panels on the ceiling. I put lights behind it. I'm hoarding garbage, and I go to junkyards, and I get these old vents and drain pipes and styrofoam that I'm painting silver. My hands are a total wreck at the end of 50 days, working 18 hours a day. They're cut and broken and bleeding. But the set comes together, and it's about 13 feet wide, and it's lit from behind. And it actually worked. The robots came, we shot it, and I'm going to show you a clip. This is what the video looks like. Okay, so that's just a clip. Thank you. So that's a whole long video, and it's about 3.5 minutes. And at the end of this whole process, I had literally drained my savings account, zero. I had maybe a couple $100 left, and I was in $3,500 of credit card debt. And looking back on that was dumb. I'm proud of this. I like what I made, but the reason, so here's how online content works. This goes to the world for free. It's free to watch. That's good. I want it to be free, right? I'm a starving musician. I want exposure. I want people to have access to my music. For the first time in history, ever, for humans, ever, we can listen to each other's ideas for free. I can talk to anyone in the world using the internet. That's never happened before for musicians. This is the best time in the world ever to be a creative person because nothing is stopping you. Right? I can put up an idea, and if it's good, people will enjoy it and tell me so. They can write me their comments. Little advice, next time you should do that, or whatever. They can write me comments, right? Or it's good comments, too. So So I'm not saying it shouldn't be free, but the point is this, all of that, is half of my job as an independent musician. Making the stuff is half. The other half is this equation. F of music equals money. It's like a function. I need to turn music into money somehow. And I have to occupy half of my brain with that, because if I don't, then that robot music video is the last music video that I ever make. But I want to make more. So Pamplemousse in 2008, right? YouTube of music equaled money. That was our function for us. Upload to YouTube, people buy the song on iTunes, brands contact us. It was this new, exciting thing, right? In 2008, bedroom musicians were cool. You see someone playing in front of a webcam in their kitchen, you're like, wow, musicians don't live on clouds. They're real people, right? You take away the smoke and the mirrors and the brands and the done-up hair and the emo stuff, and it's a person underneath, right? And in 2008, that was exciting. But it's not anymore in 2013. We've seen millions of bedroom musicians. So 2013, YouTube of music does not equal money for me, for a lot of reasons. That is Smooth McGroove. He does a cappella covers of video game music. That's what he does on YouTube. Gameplay in the middle, 8 Smooth McGrooves around singing an a cappella arrangement. And that's it. He has a catalog of hundreds of videos like that. And he has 400,000 subscribers on YouTube. So I'm not alone here. And Smooth isn't alone. I'm going to come back to that for a second. Okay. There are tens of thousands of us, tens of thousands, content creators who are putting stuff out on YouTube and to the world for free. So when we hear the number 400,000, we think, okay, he's one of the 10,000 people with 400,000 subscribers. It doesn't sound like a lot. And that's not our fault, right? Because we're used to seeing 1 million, 5 million, Gangnam Style, 800 million, 2 billion, right? We're used to seeing these large, large numbers. But we forget that it's not a hit, it's a person. And 100,000 people is this, right? That's 100,000 people. So just Smooth McGroove has 4 of these. Looking forward to his next video. 4 of these chose to make a relationship with him. They clicked subscribe on his videos. That's a lot of people watching his stuff for free. This is Lazy Pillow. He's an animator. 105,000 subscribers. Wong Fu Productions, 1.9 million subscribers. Wheezy Waiter, 511,000 subscribers. He does vlogs about anything, random stuff. It's this stream of conscious vlog. It's very funny. I love it. Corridor Digital, they make these amazing, explosive action movie videos. It's incredible stuff. Watsky is a rapper. Jacob Collier is a wonderful jazz musician in the UK. Amazing arrangements, mind-blowing. He, in my opinion, he's the next big thing. Non-Stamp Collector makes atheist animations. I'm trying to prove a point here. This is this is niche content, right? But on the internet, I forgot what the numbers are and I forgot who said this. It's a great quote. I love it. Let's say you're really weird. Let's say you're like, you meet one person every 5 years that's like you. So you're 1 in 1,000, right? On the internet, there are millions of you. Right? That's what's happening here. Stuff that you would say, well, that's weird. Guess what? There are millions of people that like it. And this is the first time we're able to connect them all. Sheep Films clever, strange animations and stop-motion video effects. Devin Supertramp does sports photography and cinematography. Charlie talks about his life. He's a good-looking kid in the UK, talks about growing up and being scared, and has 2.2 million subscribers. Tiffany Alvord is another musician, 1.6 million subscribers. Tom Scott, I can keep going and on and on and on. I'm going to get to that. Okay. I'm trying to explain this. We launched Patreon. I go on Bloomberg News is interested in Patreon. They invite me on TV. It's my first time I'm on TV to talk about Patreon, which I'm going to get to. And I'm trying to explain this to them. This is a generation. It's a revolution. There are tens of thousands of these people. The top 2,000 channels on YouTube have over 270,000 subscribers. The top 2,000 channels on YouTube. There are over 100 channels with 1 million subscribers. They're growing at a rate of 3,000 to 5,000 subscribers per day. In a few years, we're going to have literally 10,000 channels with 1 million plus subscribers. This is amazing. It's not about Lady Gaga. It's not about stars. It's not about the kings anymore. It's about this creative middle class, people who are reaching people in these micro niches, right? We're coming out of an age of this dichotomy of starving artist and Lady Gaga. There's this small business musician in the middle who's the corner store making a living, right? They're not Walmart, they're not Target. They're just making a living. They're making $10,000 a month, $20,000 a month, $5,000 a month. They're this creative middle class. Some of them are more successful than others, and obviously there's a spread. But I'm trying to describe this to the Bloomberg guys. And the headline, I felt really good about the talk, actually. And then I went back and I watched it afterwards, because they posted online. And this is the headline that they put under me, which bothered me a little bit. I was happy for the exposure, again. But I think the point of all this is that we don't need to be stars. It's not about the fame or the massive appeal. It's about the small business class. I felt like I didn't get my point across because of this headline. And it's very difficult to explain this to people because people don't understand that. I often go to cocktail parties over the holidays, I'm sure as all of us do. My parents invite me to cocktail parties. And I get there and somebody says, I'm shaking hands with somebody who's, I don't know, not an old person, they're middle age. And they ask me what I do, and I say that I'm a musician. And they look at me like very sincerely, right? They're very sincere and really nice. And they shake my hand and they say, I hope you make it. And it's not their fault, right? Because they see headlines like this. So it's not their fault. It's just that we need to get away from this mentality of the dichotomy. That's not it anymore. And it's not even the future. It's the present. And it's like the last 5 years, 10 years, internet years. And it's starting to become more and more ubiquitous. So you might think, okay, there's all these content creators, right? Sure, they're making money through ads, as everybody makes money. You run ads before your videos, pre-roll ads, boom, you're rich and famous, which is what the media will have you believe under headlines like that. Just run ads before your videos and you're good to go. But ad revenue doesn't work so well for an individual. At scale, ad revenue works great. But the numbers are a little funky. Let's say you have 400,000 views, like, say, Smooth McGroove. I actually haven't seen his ad revenue, so these are not his numbers. This is just my projections based on my own experience with YouTube, which is significant. My YouTube catalog, between Pomplamoose and me, we have over 100 million views. I've seen the ad revenue dollars. I've looked at the spreadsheets. People know what a CPM is, cost per meal. That's cost per 1,000 views. That's how advertisers pay to be put in front of content. They say, we'll pay per 1,000 impressions. Cost per meal meaning 1,000. So they pay $2 for 1,000 views. Then you might think, well, 400,000 views, he's making $800. But he doesn't make that money, right? YouTube splits it with him. The percentage amount is not technically public. It's around 50-50 though. So maybe he's making $400 from those 400,000 views? Well, not really, because then what about the people who wrote those songs, right? Who wrote the video game music, the publishers. So he splits it with the publishers. Is it 50-50? I don't know. Let's say it is. It's actually not, but let's say it is. Then he's making half that. But that's if 100% of the views are monetized, which they're not, because depending on the time of year and ad inventory, whether it's close to Christmas or not, right, it's actually more like a quarter of the views get ads before them, right? Or maybe half, somewhere around $50 from the 400,000 views. If that, again, because we live in this world, if that doesn't make you angry, that's, again, it's not anybody's fault. It's the way it is. But I just want to show this slide again because, again, this is 100,000 people. 4 of these tuned into that content creator's video makes him this much money. That's weird. I don't know too much about capitalism, but that something feels like weird there to me. It feels like a broken system, right? Imagine if the 49ers went to play and after the game split $50 between the team. I know it's not different because there's length of time and all that kind of stuff, but these people, it's not that they don't have mass audiences. I mean, 3 million hits. Jenna Marbles has an average of 6 million hits per video. 6 million hits. 30 Rock, the TV show. Who knows 30 Rock? The season finale had 4.8 million viewers. Season 5 of Breaking Bad had 5.9 million viewers. And Jenna Marbles has 6 million views per video every week on her catalog. That's, again, we're talking about huge numbers. These aren't small, piddling numbers. And it's a problem shared by tens of thousands of content creators putting stuff out for free. There's another thing at work here. It's not just that ad revenue isn't good. Digital content monetization strategies right now, digital content monetization, in other words, running pre-roll ads, banners next to a video, that way of turning music and content into money, that way sucks. It doesn't work. And I'm not saying that ads aren't good or ads don't work. Advertising is an amazing thing for a lot of people. I buy Coca-Cola. I mean, I'm not like hippie, anti-ad, anything. I'm just saying as a way of monetizing content, it doesn't work. Also, the view has declined. The view, like the dollar, like a currency, what a view means. Its value has declined since 2008. Do you guys remember seeing a cat video with 150,000 views in 2008? Someone sends you a cat video and it has 100,000 views on it. You were definitely going to watch that cat video because it was going to be awesome with 100,000 views. Fast forward to 2013, someone sends you a cat video with 100,000 views. I'm probably not going to watch that video because when I log into YouTube, the entire sidebar is full of cat videos with 1 million views. But if a cat video has 20 million views, I'm probably going to watch that because it's probably going to be really funny and I'm really going to enjoy it. As much as I enjoyed the cat video in 2008 with 100,000 views. And actually, my propensity to watch cat videos, I think, is a good measure of the devaluation of the view as a currency as it goes down. I think it actually it works. So So that's also at play. But again, we're still talking about a lot of people. So back to me being $3,500 in credit card debt, I'm about to put out this video that I spent all this time and money and effort on, and I really want to make some money from it so I can keep making more videos. I think, what if I like the idea of Kickstarter. Natalie made a bunch of money on Kickstarter. What if I just asked my fans, right? What if I asked them if you care about what I'm making, if you care, please pay me to make more. And this is different than the advertising model, right? The advertising model is all of those people, 1,000 of them are worth this much, right? That's why it doesn't work, because what if that person, one in that 1,000, really likes what I'm doing? Let's say they love my videos, they bought my records, they watch every video, they're subscribed, they follow my vlogs, they're a Facebook fan, they're following me on Twitter. I love that person. I want to give them my undying gratitude, and I love them. Thank you so much for enjoying what I make. You're the reason I'm able to make more, right? And to an advertiser, that person is worth 1/1,000th of a CPM, and their attention costs less than half of a penny. And I split that with YouTube and then get $0.002 for uploading my video for them. But what if that person wants to help me? So I like that idea. What if Kickstarter were ongoing? What if you could pay someone for uploading a piece of content, digital content that would otherwise be free? Not because you won't see it if you don't pay them, but because you want to pay them so that they keep making more. And I've had this feeling. I'm subscribed to over 120 channels on YouTube. Some of them I see and I just desperately want to help the person. I'm so moved. Twice in the last couple of years, I've been moved to tears by videos on YouTube. It's a deep, deep world. And because it's so niche, it speaks right to me. I found the channels that hit me. And I want to help them, right? So what about honoring that feeling? What about letting someone contribute every time someone releases a piece of content? In other words, let me have your credit card, right? I'll charge it an amount that you set every time I release a piece of content. That's the model. That would otherwise be free. Otherwise, this content I'm making $50 on from ad revenue. So what about that? I called up my friend, Sam. His name is Sam Yam. For a while, we thought his middle name was May, and then he'd be Sam I Am, which is funny. But it's not May. His email address is Sam I Am. Anyway, stop about Sam. I called him up. He's my freshman year roommate. He's a wonderful programmer and designer and coder. I told him about the model, and he built it all out. 2 months later, we launched Patreon.com. I uploaded my robot music video. At the end of it, I put a vlog, and I asked my fans to pay me when I come out with content. I'm not saying you can't see my next music video if you don't pay me. I'm just asking you for help, because I want to keep making stuff, and if you like it, I would like you to help me. The screen that I'm about to show you isn't going to look too impressive because we're used to seeing giant, massive numbers on Kickstarter. But remember, this is per content. And I come out with about a video a month. So we launched Patreon. I'm currently making $6,454 per piece of content that I release on Patreon. And if I'm coming out with one thing a month, suddenly I have a salary to make stuff, right? It's different than Kickstarter. I'm not saying, give me a whole bunch of money so I can make an album. It's not a big lump sum. It's monthly payments like people need, like humans need to survive on Earth, right? Monthly payments to be creative. And this is cumulatively coming from 908 of my patrons on Patreon. I'm not the only one it's working for. Smooth also joined Patreon. He has 251 patrons, paying him collectively $1,500 per music video. He comes out with a video per week. So if you do the simple math, you can see that he's making a salary by uploading content. We have Epidaya, creating an adventure fiction and gaming magazine. Almost $1,000 per issue of the magazine that he comes out with. Lauren O'Connell quit her job at the gym. She's making $1,000 per music video that she releases. We have graphic novelists. This guy's getting paid per page of his graphic novel because every page is very detailed and carefully crafted. Peter Hollins is making a cappella music videos, kind of like Smooth, but not video games, just all kinds of music. He releases anywhere between 1 and 5 videos a month. So right now, the equation for me is Patreon of content equals money. That's working for me right now. I'm able to keep making stuff because my fans have chosen to give me money to help me to continue to make things. The idea for Patreon now that I'm struggling with, we launched in March. We fundraised in August. We raised a little over $2 million. The idea is it's very tempting to turn that into a hit song, to try and take it to the next level, which I don't want to do. I want to be in the bedroom making a cool thing. This time the cool thing is a website instead of a song. But it's working now, and I have to not be afraid to keep adding features and to keep making it this website that's working for people. Anyway, I'd like to take some questions. If anybody has any questions or ideas, please shout out, get on the mics, whatever you like. So, yes?
First, I just want to thank you for this last hour. Great energy. I learned a lot. Very entertaining, and I'm a grateful patron of your content this morning.
Thank you.
As I'm sure many of us are. My question for you is, in your model, when you create a video, how is the patron charged? So, for example, do you have to go back to the system and say, now it's fair for me to charge everyone their $1 because I did it, or is there some way that the system is hooked up so that the next time you load something to, say, YouTube, it automatically recognizes that and charges everyone?
I'll show you. I'll show you how it works. So I'm going to my Patreon page right now. Oops. There's something called an activity feed on Patreon. It's exactly like a Facebook news feed with some differences. It's focused on content. And so here you can see, this is my activity feed. This is fans who've written things in. It's fan art, it's cool videos that people like. This is my patron community, right? These are the people who are talking and interacting on my Patreon page. When I create a new post, I can mark it as content. I can put a YouTube link to it. And then I can mark it as free or paid. If I mark it as paid, then it basically counts in my uploaded content. It's in my content log. At the end of the month, however many things are in my content log, that number gets charged to my patrons. So patrons, you might think, well, I can just upload 50 things and call it content and charge everybody $1 million. A patron, when they're signing up, can set a maximum amount that they're willing to pay, so everybody stays within their budget. They say, I'm paying $1 per piece of content, I'm maxing out at $5. I don't want to pay more than 5 times per piece of content. And actually, I thought that was going to be the number, about $1 per music video. That's what I was thinking. iTunes Store, $1 per song, $1 per video. Our average pledge per piece of content is $8 across the site. $8 per thing that gets released, webcomic, video, blog, recipe, you name it. And it's up to the content creator to mark when they're paying for something. The viewer, the patrons, know when they've been charged for something, and they can pull out at any time. They don't get charged the first of the month. If they're unhappy, if they say, you're just posting crap and calling it content to get paid, they pull out. Their cards don't get charged. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question? Cool.
What percent does the artist keep?
This was very important to me. So the question is about what percent does the artist keep? When I showed you that slide before about 800, 400, 250, that's what I'm used to as an artist, right? And I'm coming at this from the content creator's perspective. It was very important to me that we keep the amount that goes to Patreon as low as possible. Okay, also, just as an aside here, I'm not taking a salary from Patreon. I'm making my living using the product as a creator. So though I'm actually trying to make this work as a company, I'm still making content and using this as my method of income. So I'm incentivized highly to keep Patreon's take as low as possible. I mean, technically I'm a founder, so I have equity and all this kind of stuff, but I'm thinking of it as from the artist's perspective. We went in, when we were getting meetings to raise funds, that was the question: how much are you taking? And can you double it? And our answer was always no. We are at 5%. We're taking 5%. We've been asked to double it to 10%. I don't think we're going to need to double it to 10%. There are so many content creators. Once this gets to scale, 5% is going to be more than enough. And I don't want to be another company that's cutting artists' checks in half, right? There's already credit card fees, right? So that's already a thing. I don't want to be taking 30 or 40 or 50%, 5%. Right now, that's how it is. That's how it's going to be. I don't want to take more than that of pledges. Maybe there's other possibilities, revenue for Patreon down the future, but in terms of these pledges, we are dead set on that number. That also is the standard for crowdfunding, right? Kickstarter set that, 5%. And it's just important to me that we stick to that. Any other questions, ideas, concerns? Yes?
If you don't mind, how much did your robot video cost to make? And if you had this going on then, would you have rethought your budget?
Okay, so the question is, how much did the robot video cost to make? And if I had had Patreon at the time, would I have adjusted my budget? That's a good question. Yes, I think creators are adjusting their budgets based on Patreon. We have this thing called creator goals on the left side. So here, these are creator rewards at the bottom. This is what you get. Sorry, these are patron rewards. What you get when you become a patron. And it's access to the Patreon activity feed, a webcast every once in a while with the creator. These are creator goals. This is what I'm going to do when I hit certain dollar amounts. At $7,000, I'm going to get, I've told my patrons, I'm going to get a new DSLR camera so that my videos are up to standard and at YouTube's new resolution so you can watch my videos at full quality instead of, watching a SD video. So people are adjusting their budgets in this way, right? They're saying, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do a silly dance on camera. In terms of my robot video, would I have adjusted the budget? I don't know that I would have made any logical decisions at the time I was making that video. I think it was really a rabbit hole, right? It was, I started by going to Home Depot once, and then literally for 40 days I went to Home Depot every day. And that turned out to be a lot of money. How much? I actually lost track. This is out of for fear, not negligence. I never did an analysis of how much it cost. I am confident that it was well over $10,000. Probably more like 15-ish. But it was somewhere in there, and it was, again, I don't think it's wise to do that these days. It was a crazy moment. And yeah, I just kind of went nuts. And it was one thing after the next. So I'm sorry for spending that much money. Yeah.
Further on the top of the page, it said something like, like Jack is creating music videos. So what other categories? I know you mentioned like graphic novels, but like what are the overall categories that you're representing for artists and like the type of content that they like to create?
Right, that's a great question. What are the categories for artists and content that they're creating? So right now, Patreon does not have categorized options art. So when someone signs up, they don't say, I am a, check the box, filmmaker, musician, webcomic, blogger. We don't have that. Across the board, we're seeing that people are doing all kinds of stuff. If you search anything in our Discover tab, you can see what sorts of things people are making. So if you search for blogs or vlogs or web comics or what's a type of content? Music, songs, videos. It's all kinds of things. Next step for us, well, not quite the next step, but we are going to be categorically defining these things just because that will be valuable for everybody, artists, and Patreon. If we're able to, one of the things we want to do is develop recommendations, right? So if you like this, you might also like to patronize this, and have packages and things like that. So yeah, categorization is going to be an important next step for us. I mean, as it stands right now, this site was built by one person in 2 months. And so there are definitely like a lot of features that we need to add. Oops. Features and things that we need to add and get moving on it. Yeah, categories is important. Any more questions? Yeah.
So personally, from a musician's perspective, because I'm also a musician as well, so you have people on YouTube who are doing their thing that are copying a lot of like up-to-date artists, and then you have Patreon who, like you said, you're coming from a musician standpoint where it's more creative as in your own perspective. Now, how do you filter the difference between someone who's more not original on Patreon as opposed to someone who's going to their more creative standpoint?
Okay, so I think the question is about covers versus original material and filtering that. So the answer is we're not filtering based on covered content. People aren't getting, it's not a paywall, and there's no transfer of digital goods, right? It's not like I'm downloading a song and getting a product. So technically you're paying for a person and for a reward. You're paying for, if anything, you're paying for a webcast or a behind-the-scenes tutorial on how to produce dubstep, right? So in terms of the legality of paying for a cover video, that's not a problem. We don't have to deal with licenses or covers or anything because people are paying for webcasts and content. If someone gives away a song as a reward, if they let people download a cover song, then yes, we are demanding that people use mechanical licenses and buy a pack of 1,000 licenses from Harry Fox and go to the publishers. That's important. Obviously, we can't illegally host and distribute content. But as it stands now, all the content is hosted on other platforms. Patreon is a platform agnostic company. So you can be uploading SoundCloud audio files. You can be uploading YouTube videos. You can be uploading DeviantArt posts. There's no filters. It's whatever you want to be paid for. Yeah. I actually don't have those numbers. I know that my co-founder does. So I can tell you there definitely is churn, right? There is going to be churn, but just based on observation, retention is incredibly high. all the numbers are going up, right? They're not going down. So dollars per piece of content is going up. Patrons continues to go up. So even if there is some churn, the weight is in favor of the incline. And in terms of what the actual percentage is, I'm actually not entirely sure. I probably should know that. Yeah. Right.
How many are new
I see.
patrons that have never seen this artist, and just find them on Patreon?
Yeah, that's a great question. And the answer is not enough. We want people to be discovering and finding creators on Patreon. That is a huge goal for us. We want patrons to be hearing about content creators and going and becoming patrons of them on the platform. That's why this Discover feature was launched. Mostly right now, it's artist-driven. Patreon is really a monetization platform. We want it to be an audience growth platform. That's very important to us, and we're going to be launching features and discovery tools that will move it in that direction. Again, right now, it's about an artist being able to make money, an artist who is a small business creator and not making enough to cut it, right? We're helping those artists who are on the cusp of making a living. We're pushing them over the edge. But yes, that is important, and it's a great question, and yeah, it's in our product roadmap, so to speak. Yes?
Well, you have the follow buttons on the last link.
Uh-huh.
The big question is now, share buttons, follow buttons, it's driving us all crazy. You don't have share buttons there, you have follow buttons.
Share buttons. These buttons here?
Yeah, those are follow buttons, right? Or share.
These are share buttons.
Okay, so you don't have links to your the YouTube side or.
Oh, sure, yeah, I can put links down here. But these are links to my Twitter, my YouTube, my Facebook.
Okay.
And these are,
More important.
yeah.
I want people to go away from your site, so you have the follow buttons further down. I mean, is that the strategy nowadays? I mean, it's just,
Oh, I see what you're saying.
you don't know where to put them. You don't want to, lose people from your actual site, right? They go away.
Okay, yeah, I actually, to me, the center goal for all of this is to do what is going to make a creator the most money, and help them, to continue to make videos. So I want to spread the word as much as possible. I want to be putting it on Twitter. I want people, once they support an artist, I want them to be able to say, I just supported this artist on all of their social networks. I think we have time for one more, or we have one more question. Yeah.
I was going to say, how do you build trust between the patrons and their supporters, or between the patrons and the artists?
That's so important. And people do it by releasing good stuff, continuously releasing good stuff, and not charging for garbage, right? Not saying that people are creating garbage, but it's about communication, and to come back to a major theme here, transparency, right? It's about the content creator saying, hey, everybody, I know you're trusting me. I'm going to charge you for this. Is that cool? So many times we've had artists and creators go to the Patreon community and say, is this cool with you guys? And a lot of times say, yeah, this is great. And sometimes they're like, I don't know. And then that informs the content creator. Having that open, right? We have the facility, we have the tools. Have an open relationship with your fans and your patrons.
And can you leave messages and stuff?
Yeah.
The person sees?
Yep, so here's the activity feed, and you can see that I'm talking with my patrons all the time, right? I'm writing in comments, they're writing things to me. There's direct messaging. It's a very communicative, open, transparent place for people. So yeah, I think trust is sort of inherently built in. Yeah. Okay, everybody, we're out of time. Thank you so much. Thank you.